Hi, it's me, Crystal, and I am back again with another random summer book haul. So I decided when I was editing the last video that I would just rather go ahead and haul the rest of the books that I've bought recently. So we're going to finish out the books I bought in July and then talk about the books I bought in August. And I'm going to talk about the ebooks and audiobooks first since I don't have them right in front of me. So first up, I'm going to do the audiobooks, and the first one is Gwendy's Button Box. This is by Stephen King. I think this is a novella or a short story. I don't know, it's been on my TBR for a while. Don't remember what it's about, but when I saw that it was on sale one day, I picked it up. Gwendy's Button Box is horror, I'm assuming. It's Stephen King, I think he has mostly horror. And then next I picked up the Borgia Confessions, and this is by Alyssa Palombo. And when I saw her name, I was like, this looks really familiar, and that's because I had literally just picked up another book by her. So this is a historical fiction, and it follows a maid who works for Lucrezia Borgia, and I'm into Borgia books, so I listened to a sample of this audiobook. And I thought it sounded really interesting, and I wanted to keep listening. So it was on sale. I picked it up. I'm excited. And then the last audiobook I picked up is The Tales of Beatrix Potter. And this is, of course, by Beatrix Potter. I've read The Tales of Beatrix Potter. I've read the complete tales before. And I've also read some of the individual tales several times. If you don't know, Beatrix Potter writes children's books. Well, she wrote children's books. These are classics. They're old. And there are several audiobooks to choose from, and I think a lot of them were on sale. So I just picked one. I picked the cheapest one, but I really liked the audiobook narrator, and I thought it would be really nice to listen to it one day. All right, so I also have 3 ebooks. And the first one was a Prime first read for August, so this was free. And it is Constance by Matthew Fitzsimmons. I don't remember what this is about. I literally picked it up 2 weeks ago. I want to say this was the thriller option, but it sounded interesting. So it was free. I picked it up. And then another free ebook I picked up is Follow Me Darkly by Helen Hart. And I don't know what this is about. I think she recently had another book in the series come out because I saw a picture of this book cover. And I was like, oh my gosh, that book is so pretty. It was like dark, and it had like this dark rose on it, and I just love roses, and I love different colored roses. But then when I was looking at the description, I saw that it was like book 3. So I just kind of ignored it. But then I saw the cover again, and I ignored it, and I saw it like 1 or 2 more times. So finally I was like, fine, what is this? Where's the first book? And I saw the first book was free, so I just went ahead and downloaded it. I think based on the cover and the little bit of the description that I looked at, I think it's like dark romance. And the last ebook I picked up is After Me Comes the Flood, and this is by Sarah Perry, and this is like a ghost paranormal book. It sounds interesting. The reviews are super polarizing, but that doesn't stop me. So there's a lot of reviews, so I just went ahead and grabbed it because it was $2. All right, so now I have a nonfiction book, and I finally picked up High on Arrival by Mackenzie Phillips. This book has been on my TBR since it came out. Yeah, this book came out in 2009, and I was on the fence about it because, I think it's kind of dark. But if you don't know, Mackenzie Phillips was in, I want to say it was a show on the Disney Channel. Was it Disney Channel or Nickelodeon? I don't remember. It was a long time ago. She was on this show called So Weird. And basically, she played a traveling musician. She was a musician in real life also. So she plays a traveling musician, and she's traveling around with her son and her daughter and like some other people and one of their kids. And along the way, they run into some paranormal stuff, and the daughter is like trying to solve these paranormal things, usually alone or with some weirdo she meets along the way, but then sometimes she gets help from her brother or her brother's friend, whoever that guy is. Anyway, I'm talking so much about that show, but I loved that show, and I would really be interested in watching it again. So anyway, she's on that show. And so I saw she had a book out one day, and I was like, oh, let me pick her book up. But she's like, talks about her drug addiction, some stuff, really dark stuff with her dad. And I was like, I don't know if I can handle that right now, but I kept it on my TBR all this time and decided to finally pick it up. Next, I have some poetry books. So the first two I have here are companion poetry books to a classic poetry book I picked up already this year, which was the Love Poems of Rumi. And so I decided to go ahead and pick up these other two, and just in case these covers are hard to find one day, I wanted to pick them up where I can get ones that still match. So I picked up the Friendship Poems of Rumi and the Spiritual Poems of Rumi, and these books are so fancy. Look at this. Look at this beautiful nonsense. Oh my gosh. Not to mention, these are just stunning. And then next I picked up Illumination by Tyler Knott Gregson. And I don't know anything about this. I'm often browsing in the poetry section in the bookstore and saw this. It says poetry to light up the darkness. I thought, maybe it would be nice. Oh, I haven't even looked inside this book. Oh, it's so colorful. Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't look in this book. This is why I picked it up. I was like, that is very, very interesting. So, but yeah, I thought it would be nice to maybe read some uplifting poetry. I don't know what to expect. It says that it is inspiring and beautiful, and that the author delivers a message of hope. Can we all use messages of hope sometimes? The next poetry book I got is The Truth About Magic by Atticus, and I have another poetry book by Atticus, so I picked this up because I like the cover. That's pretty much how it works with poetry. Like a cover, pick it up. Oh, interesting. There are like pictures on some of these pages with poetry on top. And then we also have some plain pages. So, yeah, I really like a beautiful presentation. I like the style. I like Atticus's style of poetry. And then the last poetry book I picked up is When the World Didn't End by Caroline Kaufman. I read another poetry book by her. It's Light Filters In, and I really liked it. So when I saw she had another poetry book out, I picked it up. So, looks like this on the inside. There's some sketches, some art on some pages. So I'm looking forward to this. All right, next I have some graphic novels. So the first one I picked up is one that just came out, and I saw this. I was like, I don't know, I really want it, so I picked it up. And they said this was a manga, but I don't know if you can tell. It's not in the typical manga style, but they got a manga graphic novel artist to adapt the movie into a graphic novel format and do the artwork. It's left to right instead of right to left is what I mean, but it's not manga style anyway. So I got Cruella, Black, White, and Red by Hachi Ishii. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I will watch it when it's on Disney+. But yeah, I really like the artwork, and I just think it'll be really fun to read. So I got this. And next, this isn't a manga. It's called like a light novel. I have, it's The Eminence in Shadow by Daisuke Aizawa. There is a character with that last name in Death Note, just FYI. So yes, the manga version of this, Volume 1, the English translation, I think comes out September or October. And so I will be picking that up when it comes out. But after I picked up those Death Note light novels, I'm just like interested in getting more apparently. So I don't know too much about this. It features one of the characters in this manga, like a side quest, side adventure, whatever. So I wanted to go ahead and pick this up since it was already out, but I don't want to read this until after I've read the manga so that I know who the side character is. But anyway, it sounds fun. All right, so I recently watched Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters, and I did not like it, but I do like The Lightning Thief, and I understand that if you've read the books, The Lightning Thief movie is terrible. But I've not read the books, so I think the Lightning Thief movie is really fun. And so I finally watched Sea of Monsters, and yeah, I can see how they didn't make any more. It's just like very tonally off. The actors are way too old. They look like they're too old. But I thought maybe the Sea of Monsters book, it looked like the story was fun. You know, if you get some age appropriate actors and kind of like fix the tone issues you have from having actors that are too old. But anyway, I don't want to read the books quite yet. And I saw that there are graphic novels. So I got all 5 graphic novels for the first Percy Jackson series. So the first one I have is The Lightning Thief, of course. And there are 2 different artists. So I'll show you the artwork for the artist that's in the first 3. And then I'll show you the artwork that the artist did for the last 2. But yes, the Percy Jackson books are by Rick Riordan. So, I don't know, I just kind of want to get a feel for the story and kind of like how it's supposed to be written without reading all the books right now. But if I really like the graphic novels, then I'll go ahead and pick up the books and read them. But anyway, that's what we have going on the inside. This, I think will be fun. And then we have the Sea of Monsters. And if you don't know, for some reason, Percy Jackson, middle grade, books about this kid who is the son of Poseidon, and he's like the chosen one, and they go on some adventures and stuff. And then the third one is the Titan's Curse, and then 4th is the Battle of the Labyrinth, and then the 5th one is the Last Olympian. And I don't know how obvious it will be to you that the artwork is different, but it's very obvious to me. But I really like the second art style, so that's totally fine. So I'm planning on reading these pretty soon while I'm still like super interested to like kind of get a taste of what the books are about, kind of, sort of. Okay, the next graphic novel I got is The Dire Days of Willow Weep Manor by Shannon K. Garrity. It looks like with art by Christopher Baldwin. This is a cover by. It is a supernatural book. I did look at the book description, but I just thought it looked like it was really fun from the cover. The description starts off by saying it is a dark and stormy night, which I'm a sucker for that. It sounds like this woman sees a guy drowning in the river and she goes to save him, but when they get back to the shore, she's like in a completely different place. And so it sounds like it's a portal fantasy, and I really like portal fantasies. And yeah, so I grabbed this. I think this is YA. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's YA. Anyway, here's our artwork, which is just so fun. So I think it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited about these last 2 graphic novels. I found them while I was browsing. And anyway, in case you haven't heard me say it before, I am a Harley Quinn fan. So I saw this. Don't have it. So this is Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn. And the back says, the Joker is dead. Batman is behind bars. In a new age of villains, only Harley Quinn can save Gotham. Aren't we in trouble if Harley Quinn saving the world? Anyway, I really like that outfit. She looks super cool. But this is what the cover looks like. I don't know what she's wearing, but I love it. And this is the back of the book. And this is what some of our artwork looks like. So it looks like we're going to have some flashbacks with our story. I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but I am really excited about this. And this is by Katana Collins, Sean Murphy, Mateo Scalera, and Dave Stewart. All right, and the last one is Harleen. I have a hard time saying this guy's name. I think it's like Sajefin Sajic. So here's our author, if it's focusing. So I think this is a redo and an expansion of the Harley Quinn origin story, Mad Love, which was originally by Paul Dini. And it's not a very long story. The comic book version, I also have the novelization that Paul Dini did with another writer, but I'm really interested in this. Boy, this art is so nice. So here we go. And the author, I think, also did our artwork. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I think we're going to go through like how Harley Quinn fell in with the Joker and maybe how she got away from him. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really interested in this. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous. Yeah, super crazy cover. I love this though. It looks like we have the Joker here without a bunch of makeup on. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, this came out last year, so I really need to like browse through graphic novel section more often so that I don't miss stuff like this. So next we have We Are Satellites by Sarah Pinsker, and this is on my August TBR. It's about, there's like this world where people get these implants called satellites, but the main character doesn't want this implant, and so she's like part of a group of people who are like anti-implant, and meanwhile like her kids want implants, and it's like if they don't get this implant, are they going to be left behind? And I just think it'll be really interesting. It's sci-fi, and yeah. So next I have The Lights of Sugarberry Cove, and this is by Heather Weber. I think this is like magical realism. I went ahead and put it in the fantasy section, but it's about this woman who had a near-death experience when she was a kid, and I think it like turned her hair white, if I'm remembering what I read correctly. And she is from like Alabama, but I think when she gets to a certain age, she like moves away. She has a sister, and so their mother runs this bed and breakfast, and so their mom has a heart attack, and so while she's recovering, the two sisters come home to run the bed and breakfast while she recovers. It sounds like a heartwarming family story with maybe some hints of magic. And I thought it sounded interesting, and this cover is really beautiful, so I picked it up, and it's not that long. So, oh, this spine is really pretty. So just in case you want to see what the naked hardcover looks like, it looks like this. So next I have Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews, and I've been meaning to pick this book up for a while, and this is a really old book. Oh my gosh. It says 40th Anniversary Edition. I think this was V.C. Andrews' like first book that she ever published. I don't remember what it's about. All I know is that it's like horror, paranormal. I know I have this in the adult section. I recently moved my V.C. Andrews books. I have this in my Sweet Audrina into like what's kind of sort of a horror section on my bookshelves, and because I just feel like they fit best there. But yeah, I don't really know what this book is about otherwise. There's like some kids, and they're like hiding away in an attic for some reason, and they're not allowed to come out. And yeah, I think it's going to be very disturbing, creepy. So next we have The Sounds of the Girls by Pat Barker, and this is set in the world of the Iliad from the point of view of a captured queen named Briseis. That's really all I know about it. But I like this cover, and I like stories set, you know, Greek mythology, the Iliad, the Odyssey settings. So I thought this would be interesting, so I picked it up. I always get a kick out of paperback books that have a flap. It's the little things in life. And next I have The Winter Witch by Paula Braxton. I don't remember what this is about. Okay, it looks like it is about this woman named Morgana who hasn't spoken since she was a child. And she is some kind of a witch, and so she gets married to this guy, and so she goes to live with him, as people do when they get married. And it says her strangeness begins to be talked about in the village, And a dark force is at work there, a person who would stop at nothing to turn the townspeople against Morgana. And it says she must learn to harness her power or she will lose everything. It's set in the early 19th century in Welsh. I want to try a Paula Braxton book, and so I thought this would be a good one to start with, since she has a lot of books about witches, and I really like books with witches. Next, I have Dark Tides by Philippa Gregory. When this book came out, I was interested in picking it up, but then I saw that it was book 2, and what I think is a duology, so I went ahead and picked up book 1, and so I've been waiting for the paperback to come out so they match. This cover is pretty, by the way. It's kind of shimmery. But yeah, I don't remember what this is about. It's like historical fiction. It's about this woman. So, yeah. Next, I just picked up this book on a whim mostly because of the title. And it is In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife. And this is by Ashley Winstead. And the front flap says 6 friends, 1 college reunion, 1 unsolved murder. So apparently when they were undergrads in college, this is the second book I bought this year that's set at a 10-year college reunion. And I'm like, is this a thing that I just never paid attention to anyway? But it's about this group of friends, and somebody died when they were in college. And so 10 years later, you know, it's time to get some answers. Somebody might be, stalking this group of friends. Maybe somebody knows what they did. Maybe one of them is a murderer. So it sounded really interesting. It's a suspense book. And look at this cover. And look at this title. What is that? So great. And this is what the book looks like, in case you want to see it. Yeah, classic, but still. So next I have this Showgirl by Nicola Harrison, and this is a, historical fiction set in the 1920s about this girl who moves to New York City to be a famous showgirl, and when she gets there, she meets this guy, this handsome rich guy, and they get engaged, and she feels like she has to choose between her glamorous showgirl life and married life with her love. It's not something I would normally typically read, but the cover kind of drew my attention and I thought it sounded interesting, so I picked it up. And then next I have The Push, and this is by Ashley Aldrain. Apparently this is a Good Morning America book club book. I did not even know Good Morning America had a book club. This is like a dark contemporary drama about this woman who is determined to be the perfect mother to her children because her own mother was a hot mess, it sounds like, and something happens and she's forced to deal with her issues. And I don't know, I thought it sounded interesting, and I was drawn to this kind of Rorschach looking cover, and that would be nice to pick up something different. Sometimes you want to read something different. Even though there's nothing fancy going on. It's very pretty purple hardcover. And then next I picked up The Affiliate Girls by Jane Healy. And obviously this was a cover buy. This book is gorgeous. The spine is gorgeous. So I think this is like a dual timeline contemporary fiction book. And so I think it's going to follow this mother and her daughter. And so the mom, when she was her daughter's age, she was part of this like group of girls who like to go down to the river and pretend to drown like Ophelia and Hamlet. But apparently something happened one day and she's run from it ever since. And so I think she ends up back in her hometown with her family, and she is trying to ignore the past, and her daughter is like having some issues. I don't remember the nature of her issues. So yeah, it's like family drama, contemporary, dual timeline, I think. And I thought it sounded interesting. And yeah, once I saw this cover, I was like, I have to. Next, I picked up Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King. If you saw my book haul from last week, I hauled the graphic novel version of this, volume 1 of the graphic novel, and I was skimming over the blurb and like reading it for like the first time, And it just sounded really interesting. And I made a comment that if I had known that that very interesting description is what the book was about, then I probably would have picked this book up a long time ago. So I decided to just go ahead and pick up this book because, you know, I've read graphic novel adaptations of books and you do have to leave a lot out. And I just feel like I don't know when the graphic novel is going to be finished. I think maybe the end of this year. Fingers crossed, I hope. So with any luck, I can read the graphic novel or the graphic novels first and then read this, but it depends on how long it takes this entire book to be condensed to a graphic novel. This is not a short book. It's a little long. So this is like a horror fantasy, maybe slightly sci-fi set in the near future. And it's about this sleeping sickness that is sweeping across the world, and it's only affecting the women. It's causing them to go into a deep sleep. It's called Aurora, and the women, they go to this beautiful, fantastic haven, and there's only one woman immune to the sleeping sickness, and her name is Eve. And the description on the back of the graphic novel says she leaves a trail of carnage in her wake. Yeah, so the men, and there's only men left in the world, they're trying to decide if they should kill Eve or like try to save her from like this darkness that is apparently consuming her. Sounds really interesting. I trust Stephen King, and I just think it's so fun that he wrote a book with one of his kids. So after knowing what this book is about, I'm like really interested in reading it. But yeah, it's a long book. It's 700 pages and does not have the largest print in the world, but I think this is going to be really good. Next, I had Velvet Was the Night by Sylvia Marina Garcia, and this is set in 1970s Mexico, and somebody goes missing, and so our main character is trying to figure out what happened to this woman. And at the same time, there's some guy who is also looking for this woman, and apparently this woman disappeared under mysterious circumstances. So I'm not 100% sure what genre this is in. I don't know if it's supernatural, if it's horror, if it's dark historical fiction. So the end of the description says that it is an edgy, simmering historical novel for fans of smoky noirs and anti-heroes. I'm going to put this in the fantasy section next to Mexican Gothic, and also by Sylvia Marina Garcia if you don't know. And yeah. But I don't think there's anything supernatural going on, so I wasn't going to get this at first. But I just really love this cover, and it sounds really fun. And I like dark fiction, so I saw it. I went to the bookstore to pick up a couple other books, and I saw this one, and I went ahead and got it. So last in this section before I get to the YA books and the special editions, I have Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. I think that's how you say his name. And yeah, I got the hardcover because look at what this book looks like. Okay, first of all, there's a cutout, which is so fun. And then the book looks like this. So we have this beautiful, strange, very cool looking cover, and this is sci-fi, and it's about, there's like, I don't know what the main character's job is, but she discovers this like giant mechanical hand, and a bunch of people come to figure out what it is. You know, if is it a sculpture, is it alien technology, can they trust it, is it safe, like what's going on. And it just sounds really interesting. And because it's a sci-fi and I don't read a ton of sci-fi, I've been kind of on the fence about picking this book up, but I was watching a video the other day where someone was talking about this book. She said it was really good, and she made it sound really interesting. So I picked this up. This whole book is just so pretty. All right, so if you saw my last unboxing video, which was a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how every single time I see artwork for Caraval, I want to read the book because all the fan art and knickknacks and things for Caraval, they're always just so cool and so beautiful, and it just makes me really interested in reading the book. So I picked it up. This is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I think it's described as like the Night Circus meets the Hunger Games. And it sounds interesting. So the tagline says, "Remember, it's only a game, ... Obviously something sinister is going on. And I don't know. I'm like, I can't not get it anymore. It's just, the more I think about it, the more interested I am in it. And in true me fashion, I just went ahead and picked up the other books in the series, which is Legendary. It's book 2. Also really pretty. And Finale, but I thought it was better if I went ahead and got the series, just because I know that if I don't go ahead and get books 2 and 3, the likelihood that I'll read them goes way down. So yeah, I got these beautiful books and I'm looking forward to it. Also, what is this? This is so gorgeous. I really like stuff like that. Speaking of books in the series that everyone has read but Krystal, feels like, I decided to pick up the Cruel Prince trilogy. I already have How the King of Elfane Learns to Hate Stories, because in true me fashion, I went and picked up the anthology, and I haven't finished the series yet. I do have the Cruel Prince via ebook, and I've read 1 chapter. And I wanted to keep reading, but like at the time I was reading it, I just like wasn't in the mood, so I haven't picked it back up and finished it yet. But these books are really pretty, so I picked these up. Anyway, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a fantasy book. This girl and her sister, their parents are murdered, and they are taken to the fairy kingdom for some reason. I don't know what that reason is, because I didn't get that far into the book. So her and her sister, they're 2 humans living with the fae folk. And of course there's a love story. That's all I know. So we have this. And every single one of these books is really nice, you know, shiny embossing on the covers. So pretty. Then we have book 2, The Wicked King. Oh my gosh, this cover's so pretty. Look at that. I wish they would do this for more adult books. You know, everybody likes a surprise. The cover off. Then we have book 3, The Queen of Nothing. And everybody who I know who has similar tastes in books to me, they all really love the series. So I'm sure it's fun if nothing else. Snake on the cover. So yeah, I got all these beautiful books, and we're gonna get this series read, and hopefully I will love it. And before I move on, speaking of books in the series, I went ahead and picked up books 2 and 3 in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. So we have book 2, Blood and Honey by Shelby Maharan, and this was a surprise. Sometimes you get a book online and it comes in and it's signed. What is this? I was not expecting to get a signed book, but I'm excited. So look at that page. That is really cute. A serpent and a dove. So if you don't know, Serpent and Dove is YA fantasy. It's about this witch and a witch hunter, and somehow they end up married, and there's like drama. Normally in this kind of situation, I'm not excited that there are multiple books in the series, but I've heard really good things about this last book, and that is worth reading all these books to get to the conclusion in this book. So we have book 3, Gods and Monsters. So like I said about the Carnival books, it's like if I go ahead and pick up the rest of the series, I'm like 100% more likely to read them. And there's nothing going on under the covers, but it's pretty. I've not heard great things about this book, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Then we have this. Yeah, nothing's going on, but I like the serpent and the dove on the spines. And we love books about witches over here. And the last YA book I have before I get to the special editions is A Phantom Heart by Kelly Craig. I have another book by her called Nevermore. I haven't read it yet, but it sounds really interesting. And this is a Phantom of the Opera inspired retelling thing. If you don't know, Phantom of the Opera is my favorite musical of all time. I've seen it 3 times. I'll see it again. My favorite thing. Also, I have the book Phantom of the Opera. it was fine. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's set in modern day, I think. And oh my gosh, the tagline says one would die for her, the other already has. I'm really interested in this. So I have room in my YA section for one book, plus the 2 books that are not out yet that I'm planning on getting later this year. And I was like, you know what? This space for one book, let's go into Phantom Heart. Because I forgot when this book came out, and I got a notification from Goodreads the day it came out, and so I went and bought it that day. Easiest way to get Krystal to buy a book. Family Hopper retelling. Flowers everywhere. Alright, so I decided that I was going to get the August Crate box because the theme was dark academia, and I could tell from the description that it was a book I wanted already. And since space in the YA section was limited, and at the time I decided to get this box, there was no space in the YA section, and like I said, some rearranging, freed up some space, blah blah. And while I was looking on their site, I saw a couple of other books that sounded interesting, so I picked them up. So one of the books I saw that I was interested in is Among the Beasts and Briars, and this is by Ashley Poston. I don't remember what this is about. I know it sounded very fairy tale-like. The tagline up here says, "The forest took everything from her, now it's her only hope." But I know this is a YA fantasy. It sounds very whimsical, maybe a little dark. And I decided to get this edition since I was interested in picking this book up. And one of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and get this edition is because I could put it in the special edition section, and I didn't have to make room for it in the YA section. And anyway, we have these very pretty pink edges, and the book is signed on this really pretty page. There's what the hardcover looks like, and then we have a reversible dust jacket. So I like books about dark forest, so yeah. And the book, this was just a book by itself, but it also included a letter from the author. So here we go. So these next 2 books were in past crates. One of them I think was March, and the other one was June. So I think this was the March one, and I thought this book sounded interesting. So, and also I wanted to see kind of like what normally comes in the crate. And so I thought this would be a good way to see like what to expect in August when I get my August crate. So, or I don't know when it's coming in, end of the month, early next month. So we have Sisters of the Snake, and it is by Serena and Sasha Nanua, and they're twins, and they wrote this book together, and they've written a lot of stories together, which just sounds so great. And I think the original cover is maybe like more yellow, or it's like a different color. So this is the Crate edition, which is this color, which is one of my favorite colors of all time. This teal color. And then we have our signatures from the authors. And here they are in the back. This is like a Prince and the Pauper retelling. Only, I haven't read the Prince and the Pauper in a long time, so I don't know. I don't remember if the Prince and the Pauper were actually twins or if they just looked alike, but these girls are actually twins and they were separated somehow, and that's all I really know, but it sounded really interesting. It's YA fantasy, and yeah, looking forward to reading this. And we also have some art on the other side of our dust jacket, which is always fun to look at. Pretty. And then this is what our hardcover looks like. Gorgeous. And, you know, if you know, you know. If you don't, I like snakes on books. Love snakes on books. So June's book was Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tolley. And one of the times I went to the library to pick a book up, while I was waiting, I saw this book. And I started flipping through it, and I really liked the writing, and I thought it sounded really interesting. So I decided to go ahead and pick up this Crate edition of this book. And so here's our cover. And we have these really pretty purple edges, which is another favorite color of mine. And then signs. And we don't have a reversible dust jacket on this one, but we have this cute little bow. And it's really gorgeous color hardcover. So I think this is dual point of view, and one of the points of view is of a witch, and she does something terrible and she is exiled and she loses the ability to love, and so she steals love from other people, or she takes love as payment for her witch help, for her services, for her witch services. One day some girl comes to her and she wants help with something. I think maybe there's a problem with her dad because it mentions her dad, and in exchange for the witch's help, she will give the witch the love she has for her father, which I guess is really strong and powerful or whatever. I think there's maybe a romance between the two girls. I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of sounds like maybe there will be, and maybe the witch will be cured of her curse by the power of love, whatever. So I thought this sounded really interesting. Again, love books with witches. Really like the writing in this. So also I'd seen a couple unboxings for this crate, and there were like some stuff in there that I wanted anyway. So just so great that they had some extras that I could buy a la carte. This last section are all books that I have an unboxing video for, so I say these for last in case you wanted to skip this part of the book haul video. So the first one was a Lit Joy Spring Crate. I think the theme was wishes and curses, and again, easy way to get crystal by a buck, witches. And so we have The Shadow in the Glass by J.J.A. Harwood, and this is like a dark Cinderella retelling. I think the fairy godmother is like a little demon or something, and every time the Cinderella, I think her name is Ella, which, you know, not the most imaginative name, but we look over that because we really like dark fairy tales over here. I think every time the main character makes a wish, like, it costs her something, and so she has to decide at some point if, you know, wishing for a better life is worth the price she has to pay. And I just love that concept that, you know, things just aren't given to her. And yeah, I heard this is dark. Also, oh my gosh, this book is so beautiful. We have these gorgeous teal sprayed edges. This is what the hardcover looks like by itself. And then we have art on the other side of the dust jacket with the name of the book on the spine, which is just so rare. And I don't know how other people feel, but I really appreciate that. And oh my gosh, look at the artwork for a letter from the author. It is so pretty. Also, yes, we have like this ridiculous, beautiful end paper. And then of course, the book is signed by the author. Looking forward to this. Okay, and next we have, I want to say this is June's Fairy Loot book. And so we have Fire with Fire by Destiny Soria. And it says two sisters divided, they burn. And I think it's about these two sisters, they're not twins, and they are raised to be dragon hunters, and one of them takes it really seriously, and the other one is just like living, you know, she wants to live a normal, cool, modern girl life. And because I'm pretty sure this is set in modern day, so like contemporary fantasy with dragons. And one day, one of them, I don't know which one, meets a dragon, and it just causes conflict between the sisters because now they're on opposite sides, and it sounds really interesting. So this is the cover that we got, and look at the back. So cute. I know, dragon is cute. It is. It's really cute. He looks fierce, but he's cute. And I mean, I think it's a he, I don't know. And we have very bright yellow spread edges, but I like it. We have art on the other side of the dust jacket. And then we have this very bright yellow book, but it's pretty for yellow with a dragon on the front. Yeah, I don't 100% know what's going on, but I want to find out. So yeah, I think the theme for this month was animal companions. So I don't think the dragon shapeshift, but I don't want to rule it out, you know? because they're good. And then we have July's Fairy Loot book. I think the theme was Tales Untold. And so we have this Six Swans or Wild Swans retelling called Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. And this book is so gorgeous. So yeah, it's this girl. She gets cursed and she can't talk. And for every word she speaks, one of her brothers will die. And she only has 6. So you don't want to say anything. Look how pretty this is. Look at that. So pretty. So we have purple on the top and bottom of our edges. And then these beautiful cranes stenciled on the front. And yeah, there's like this silver foil. So nice. So we have reversible dust jackets. And I think I said this in the unboxing video, but this guy has pointy ears. And so I keep thinking, are there fairies in this book? Because he has pointy ears and nobody else does. Or is he like a spirit guide? I don't know. I want to know. I've heard really good things about this book, about how beautiful and whimsical it is. Oh my gosh, this spine. I saw this when I unboxed it, but it's still so pretty. Anyway, look at this book. Who did this? This is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Just these intersecting lines. Oh my gosh, also I forgot. Look how beautiful this is. This is our author letter. So pretty. So I don't think this book is very dark, but I still love fairy tales in general. So I'm really looking forward to this. They don't all have to be dark. Sometimes you need a break. So, and next we have Illumicrate's June book, which was The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. And we had red edges on the top and bottom. And then this combination of red and stenciled foliage on the front. And yeah, it's our book. So it's about this woman, and she doesn't have any magic in her blood that we know of. But everybody else in her village does. So when the king wants a sacrifice, she is chosen, volunteered against her will by the people in her village. And on the way to the king, somebody attacks the group of travelers and everybody dies except for her and the woodsman. And yeah, it sounds really interesting. And I'm really looking forward to reading this book. This was one of my books that I really wanted that was coming out this year. But yeah, this is an adult standalone fantasy. We love the word standalone over here. And look at this. This is so pretty. It looks so dark and romantic, you know? And this is what our book looks like. Will you tell me a story, Wolf Girl? I love this. So even though I got this edition, I still went ahead and bought the original edition just because I really like the colors on that book, even though this has grown on me and I like it. I do like the original cover a little bit more, and I don't want to make a habit of getting multiple copies of books because I don't want to make a habit of it, but I just really wanted this one too. So I got this one. Even though, you know, it's not as fancy, but this is what this book looks like. It's also bigger, and there's 2 different publishers. So I don't know if one is US publisher and one is the UK publisher, but yeah, the books are different sizes. And yeah, so I have 2 copies of this book for some reason. Hopefully I love it, but I like this cover. I just like this one more, and it just made me feel better to have it. But yeah, there you go. And I think the theme for June was Out of the Woods, which is always a great theme. And then we have July's Illumicrate book, which has got to be one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen. Another adult fantasy. I don't know if it's a standalone or not. I don't remember. But the theme was never enough. And we got She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This is like, look at this. We have yellow. And look at this ombre. Sunset. It's just so beautiful. I can't even. And we have this dragon on the front, and it's just so nice. And another reversible Dutch jacket with some super gorgeous art. So nice. And we have our naked hardcover with this gorgeous dragon on it and this gorgeous spine. And the words inscribed on the dragon are, she didn't just want greatness, she wanted the world. So I think this book is about these orphans. Her brother is like destined for greatness and she is destined for nothing. So when her brother dies, she takes on his identity, and she sounds like she's pretty awesome. And normally, like, if I hadn't gotten this book in a crate and I saw this book, I like the original cover for this book as well, or the US cover. I don't know if this is a UK cover. I don't know what's going on, but it's gorgeous. This is not a book I would have bought on my own, but now that I have it, I really want to read it because it sounds really good. This book is a perfect example of why I wanted a book box subscription in the first place. And yeah, this has got to be the most gorgeous, ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I forgot to show you our signature. Gorgeous. But this gorgeous thing is also signed. We also got a signed book plate, which I just kind of stuck here. But yeah. So these are all the books that I bought in July and August. Per usual, let me know, have you heard of any of these books? Are there any books that are your favorites? Are books that you are also looking forward to reading? Are there any books you've never heard of? Let me know. And I hope you guys are doing well. And in case you want to know, this has been a pretty good month for me. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.